In this part, we are going to add the delete functions. First, we are going to uncheck the offline. What we are going to do is to implement the delete function to this rubbish bin, but we will not add the event listener to each of these icons. Instead, we are going to use the event delegation, which means we just attach one event listener to the whole div, which surrounds all the contents. And in the index.html, you can see all the context actually is surrounded by this context, another list. So if we add one event listener to this another list, and if we click anywhere inside this list, it will fire a callback. So let's jump back to our coding and we go to the db.js, and first we are going to create a content container. We create a constant content container is equal to document.querySelector.context, and now we have the wrappers for all the context. Then we are going to attach the event listener to this container. So what we are going to do now is to continue to use the contact container.add event listener, and we are going to listen the click event. So at here we just console.log the event.target. So we type e.target and here e.target. Now we try to go back to our website and go to the console. Now you can see the e-target is equal to this icon if we click on the rubbish bin. So what we are going to do now is try to output the text content. So we use the .text content. Now you can see the text content is delete outline, and this one is the star, and this one is edit. So what we need to do is to check if this is delete outline. If the text content is delete outline, then we have to process the delete functions. But how can we know which content we have to delete? If we look at the HTML, you can see we already add the data ID at the div, which wrapped all these icons. So what we are going to do is to get the attribute from the parent element. So for example, we can check if the e.target.text content is triple equal to delete outline. Then we console.log the e.target.parent element. So after we unregister the service worker and also delete the cache, we click the delete button. You can see it output the parent element, which is the div around the icons. So the element actually is this div. So now we can get the attribute by using .getAttribute and then data ID. Now when you click on the rubbish bin, you can see there are different ID pop up here. So now we can use this ID to delete the data from our file store. So now instead of console.log, we use constant ID equal to this attribute, and we can to delete the document by using db.connect, db.collections, and type the context here. And we already grabbed the ID, so we use .id.delete. So this just remove the document from the file store. And the next step is we have to remove the content inside the DOM. So on the top at here, instead of console.log the document ID is removed, we are going to add another function which is remove contact. And this time we also need to pass the ID, but we do not need to pass the data. So we back to the UI.js, and then we create the function constant remove contact is equal to, we pass the ID here, and then we are going to look for the class.contact. So now we have to add the contact class to our list items. So we can grab the contact. So we use constant contact is equal to document.querySelector and then .contact. And since this is a attribute selector, so we need to use the square bracket. Data ID is equal to $. And since we are going to use a template string, so we have to use the backtick instead of the single quote. So after we get the contact, we use contact.remove. So we go to the applications, we unregister the service record and also delete the site data and then refresh. So if we press the delete button, it will delete elements, and you can see inside the firestore we also just have two data here. So we try to make it offline and then we can delete Amy. And you can see at here we still have two documents because the app is offline. So now we try to uncheck the offline. And now you can see the document is deleted automatically and just have the Peter here. So this is in sync with our web app.